And then Robin got into some theory in responding to Sebastian. Let me just scan this real quick. Like, okay, here's just my initial take. This kind of playing is good if you're not hearing anything, particularly. It's useful in that situation. If you're really not hearing it, then this theory kind of, what it does, it's attractive because it kind of promises you that you're going to sound good, sort of, you know, like, at least this is how I took it. The idea that somebody could present information to you that would, as long as you practiced it enough, no matter how bad you were at it, that you could get good at it. Like, that's a comforting thought, right? It really is, because this is a very, on some levels, it's kind of a nebulous world we're talking about. It's not science. Music is not science. Music is not theory, right? So any port in the storm, anything we can hang on to that suggests, if I just practice doing this, I'm going to sound good, is an attractive thing. And I think, you know, as far as it goes, if you have an idea that it's interesting theory, I think it's a good idea to do it. I certainly did, to study it. I mean, that's what the iOS talks about, the 2048 possible scales ranging from 2 to 12 notes, 1 to 12 notes rather, that exist in chromatic harmony, that exist in chromatic tonality, I should say, right? That's a very seductive thing. And there are all kinds of reasons, not only to get good at playing the scales you know, but to get your ear turned on to stuff that you don't know. And the stuff that Robin's talking about, although I haven't really gone through it to, you know, play through the theory that he describes and stuff, I presume some of it is stuff that I don't know. And so in kind of an abstract way, it's interesting to learn something that you don't know, right? But the thing is, you're still left with having to make music of it, just like you were before you knew it. It's the same exact challenge with a different kind of knowledge and a different degree of knowledge. Like one time, years ago, I was doing a clinic in Europe somewhere, and they brought in people from the community. It wasn't just people from the school, but people from the community came in for like a guitar lesson, you know, guitar players. And this guy came in who was a farmer from the countryside and wherever we were, and knew zero theory, but he was kind of interested in playing jazz. You know, he didn't know anything about it. In other words, interested in playing, as I quickly found out, interested in playing anything other than blues, which is all he knew how to play. So I thought, what's the quickest way to get him on board here? And I figured out like how he could use his blues scale from different scale degrees through all the changes of this standard. I said, as long as you play this pentatonic scale that you know from this note on that kind of chord, and from that note on that kind of chord, and that note on that kind of chord, and I broke it down for him and told him what they were, you can solo through this in a way that acknowledges the changes. And it worked great. Like, he didn't really have to learn a new scale or anything. He just had to remember where to put it. If it's in F, that it had to start from A, you know, the 3 of the scale, or the 3 of the chord. Why am I saying that? Having to do with, right, what theory promises you. Like, that's theory that I was talking about with him, right? And it did give him a way in. And so I see the value of that. And like I say, if somebody's interested in theory, I would never dissuade them from doing it. I think that there are more creative ways to deal with it and less creative ways. And I like the way I came up with in terms of creativity. But that, you know, that's not to say it's for everybody. And if you're at all interested in style, if you're interested in being a good jazz player, in other words, a good speaker of that language, then the iOS is not going to help you. And even these, you know, as I kind of scan these things that Robin was talking about, none of this is a guarantee that you're going to sound good, because as I say, you still have to learn how to make music with it, which is the essence of it. That's really what we're talking about here when we're talking about sounding good, I think. You know, Robin remarks, knowing where the arpeggios are will help loads. That will help loads in terms of sounding more authoritative, but not with sounding more musical or sounding more improvisational. Like scale-wise playing and arpeggio playing is the least musical way we can play a given scale, I believe. That's just my take on it. The more melodic we can be, as opposed to the more pattern-oriented, the more improvisational it would sound. And it's possible that people don't want to sound improvisational. I can understand that for sure.